In this episode, we talk about French President Emmanuel Macron being this year's Republic Day chief guest. We also talk about the latest comments made by the President of the UN General Assembly, Denis Francis, during his interaction with Indian media. But first, we talk about the cracks in the India opposition bloc. Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. 7 months ago, the Congress and a number of regional parties came together in Patna and decided to contest the Lok Sabha elections against the BJP. This opposition grouping was later called India. And on Wednesday, it faced its first big crisis when two of its partners said that they would be contesting alone in their state. First, it was West Bengal Chief Minister and TMC Supremo Mamata Banerjee who said that her party was calling off seat-sharing talks. And then soon after, Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann said that Aam Aadmi Party will not have an alliance with the Congress in the state and will contest all 13 seats on its own.
देश में पंजाब बनेगा हीरो 2024 में लोकसभा चुनाव में आम आदमी पार्टी के पक्ष में 13-0। देखो ये तो उनका काम है, ये ममता नहीं कोई बात नहीं, वो हो सकता है कोई उनके साथ बातचीत चल रही हो उस लेवल पे, लेकिन पंजाब में हम ऐसा नहीं करने वाले। पंजाब में कांग्रेस से हमारा कोई।
In this segment, Indian Express's Chief of National Political Bureau Manoj CG joins us to discuss the implications of this development. Manoj, first tell us how big of a concern is this for the alliance?
So exactly some 7 months ago, when a group of 15-odd political parties met in Patna with the idea of forging an anti-BJP coalition to take on the BJP in the Lok Sabha elections, among the main parties, the founding members were both the Aam Aadmi Party and the Trinamool Congress. The idea was to, ensure that there is one common opposition candidate in at least around 420, 450 seats. It was then also decided that they will work together and contest the elections together. The group later, was christened India. There was an institutional arrangement put in place, sort of committees and all that to take it forward. But now that Mamata Banerjee has decided to contest alone in West Bengal, and the Aam Aadmi Party's Punjab Chief Minister saying the Aam Aadmi Party will contest alone in Punjab. So it's some sort of a serious setback. But it was not surprising in that sense, because right from the beginning, the Congress and some of the other parties were signaling that seat sharing is not going to be easy in 3-4 states. Among them, of course, was Bengal, given the bitterness between the CPM-led left and the Trinamool Congress.
Yeah, CPIM has said that it will not be sharing a stage with the TMC.
Yeah, it's part of the alliance, but in 2 states where it has some presence, in Bengal, it was once a powerful force in Bengal, and now Kerala, it is ruling in Kerala. The CPM is not in favor of, alliance in both these states. So the initial expectation was that the alliance would run into difficulty in Bengal because of the left position. And again, in Punjab, it's not a difficult situation outside Punjab for the Congress and the AAP. In Punjab, because the Congress state unit is very clear that the Aam Aadmi Party is in government and the Congress is the main opposition party. So it's kind of a very weird situation, a strange situation where the opposition and the government join hands. And their argument is that the BJP is not a, significant force in Punjab. So, of course, most of the parties, especially the Congress, knew that, seat sharing is going to be difficult in Bengal, in Punjab, maybe in Uttar Pradesh, and in some of the other states.
So what part of this, if anything, came as a surprise to the Congress?
The Congress perhaps expected that while the left may be out of it, the Congress perhaps expected that it will enter into a limited seat sharing arrangement with the Trinamool Congress in Bengal. The Congress started by asking around 8 seats. They claimed down to 6. But what surprised the Congress was that the Mamata Banerjee's clear-cut statement, I'm not mentioning about the later statement, but the clear-cut statement by the Trinamool Congress from the beginning that it was ready to, give 2 seats to the Congress, both the seats held by the party right now, Berhampur and Malda Dakshin. Apart from that, the Trinamool Congress was not willing. The signals that came was that, the Congress has set up a committee, a 5-member National Alliance Committee, which is talking to other parties. But that may not work out in Bengal. The Trinamool may not send its representative to meet, the Congress committee. If the top Congress leadership, say the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge or the Congress Parliamentary Party Chairperson Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi, if they directly speak to, Mamata Banerjee, she can still think about maybe giving one more seat. But then the Trinamool Congress also wanted the Congress to reciprocate by giving 1 or 2 seats in Assam and in Meghalaya.
And is Congress not keen on doing that?
No, the Congress is not very keen for an arrangement outside Bengal with the Trinamool Congress. Now, Assam, because a couple of Congress leaders, including the former State Congress President Ripun Bora, Sushmita Dev, the former Mahila Congress President, they have joined the TMC. In Meghalaya, the former Chief Minister Mukul Sangma is now with the TMC. So the TMC wanted a minor seat sharing arrangement outside Bengal. They're also hoping for a seat or two. In the sense, seat or two is difficult because there are only 2 seats in Goa, a seat in Goa as well. But the Congress was not keen for that kind of an arrangement. So that kind of enraged Mamata, and the periodic statements by the State Congress President, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, he's also the Congress leader in Lok Sabha, where he was very clear that, the Congress had won 2 seats and the Congress doesn't need an alliance with the TMC to win those 2 seats again. So the Congress, of course, wanted some more seats in that particular belt, be it Murshidabad or be it Malda Uttar, Jangipur, Raiganj, and even Darjeeling. Last month, a couple of, breakaway leaders of the Gorkha faction had met Rahul Gandhi. So they kind of staked a claim for Darjeeling as well. So the Congress knew it was not going to be smooth, but they didn't expect, Mamata to, make it very clear that she's going to go it alone. And she can think about, joining the alliance. I mean, she remains part of the NDA, but coming back in full form after the elections. So that kind of surprised the Congress.
Okay, so you mentioned that in Punjab, the reason the Aam Aadmi Party doesn't want to budge is because BJP is not a strong force there. And when it comes to the TMC, the Congress is not willing to budge in the Northeast. But what are the other reasons that the TMC remains reluctant about the entire affair? I mean, one reason that comes to mind is that Mamata Banerjee sees herself and her party as a major force to reckon with, considering how it has challenged BJP in the past.
That is what Mamata Banerjee said the other day. Even the name of the alliance, India, that was suggested by her. If you recall what happened in that meeting where the name was given, the Indian Express, we had written about how Mamata had spoken to Rahul Gandhi. She suggested this name and Rahul proposed it at the meeting. Now she feels that she, despite being a founding member of the alliance, she is being slightly edged out in the sense she was not present in the last Zoom meeting, the meeting which was held virtually, where CPM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri proposed Mallikarjun Kharge as the chairperson of the alliance and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar as the convener of the alliance. Of course, there was no consensus. There was consensus in the meeting among those who were present, but Mamata was not present. Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party was not present. Uddhav Thackeray of the Shiv Sena UBT was not present. So it was then decided that the leaders will hold consultations with them as well. But Mamata is really upset that, she being a major player in the alliance is not getting a leadership role, not getting that space that she would have wanted. And CPIM or the left, which was once powerful but is now a very marginal electoral player, is, holding sway. And she had said it in as many words that, CPM is dominating the meetings. So that was one major irritant. The second irritant, of course, was, as I said, Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary's, periodic statements and the Congress's reluctance to, the top leadership's reluctance to, directly engage with Mamata, or the Congress's reluctance to part with more seats outside Bengal. So these 3 are the major irritants.
And just going back to the Aam Aadmi Party, we mentioned how they are unwilling to share seats in Punjab. But there has been an ongoing tussle between the party and the Congress, right? Because Congress is not willing to share seats with the Aam Aadmi Party in other states.
Yeah, it's more or less the situation is the same with the Aam Aadmi Party as well. The AAP wants a national alliance with the Congress, wherein there is seat sharing arrangements in multiple states like Delhi, Haryana, Punjab, Gujarat, where they had won, some seats in the last assembly elections. But there again, the Congress is reluctant to do that. They want the alliance to be confined to Delhi. Although the Congress High Command is keen that there is some sort of arrangement in Punjab, but the state unit is not in favor. So what we are told is that Mr. Bhagwant Man's statement is the Congress is not seeing it as a setback of sorts, because it was very clear that the chances of an alliance in Punjab is very bleak. So there could be a minor adjustment in Gujarat and there could be minor alliance in Haryana as well. And the parties will share seats, a 4-3 or a 3-4 formula in Delhi, and a couple of seats in the Congress is ready to part with in Haryana and in Gujarat. Punjab, both the parties are very clear that it's very difficult. So the Congress is not seeing Mr. Man's statement as a big setback because it's confined to Punjab. But the party is really upset with the position taken by Mamata Banerjee. If you see the reactions of the Congress leaders, they have said that, they cannot imagine an India alliance without Mamata Banerjee. That clearly was a setback.
And Manoj, right now we are talking about Punjab and Bengal, but how are the seat-sharing talks going on in other states like UP and Maharashtra?
Most of the regional parties feel that the Congress is making unreasonable demands. If I can quote one of the India Alliance leaders, he told me that, the Congress is looking at revival, whereas it should be focusing on survival. So in Uttar Pradesh, the Congress started with asking, 20 seats, coming down to 10, still engaged in talks with the Samajwadi Party, which the SP also feels is, it's kind of an unreasonable demand. Especially given that the SP wanted an alliance with the Congress in the Madhya Pradesh during the assembly elections, but the Congress had flatly refused it. The situation is more or less similar in Maharashtra as well, but there it's primarily, driven by the Shiv Sena, the Uddhav Thackeray faction's demand for 23 seats, which it had contested last time in alliance with the BJP. The other parties believe the situation has changed. The political situation is not the same. The Shiv Sena had split. The NCP is now divided into two parts. So again, there is lack of clarity in Maharashtra as well. As far as Bihar is concerned, it's more confusing because, the statements and the signals that are emanating from the JDU camp, from Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, it's slightly confusing to the other parties as well, to both RJD and to the Congress. While they say that, more or less the seat sharing arrangement is done, where the JDU and the RJD will contest in, 17 seats each, giving 5 to the Congress and 1 to the CPI-ML Liberation. But there is this slight confusion arising out of the signals that Nitish Kumar is giving. Initially it was said that he will be in Purnia when Rahul Gandhi's Yatra will enter the state, addressing a joint rally with Rahul Tejasvi Yadav, the Deputy Chief Minister, and also the leader of the RJD. It will be a joint India kind of a meeting. But now we are hearing that Nitish may not go. So Nitish is keeping, frankly, the others on the tenterhooks.
And do you think these latest developments will affect JDU's stance going forward?
Of course, if he remains part of the India bloc, it will be a huge relief for the alliance. But if he, if he parts ways or if he goes back to forging an alliance with the BJP, then it's kind of all over for the alliance. There is no alliance in Bengal, there is no alliance in Punjab. And if the Mahagathbandhan breaks up in Bihar, then it's really, they'll be back to the wall, pushed to the wall. It will just be an alliance in Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Jharkhand, and most of the heartland, the Hindi heartland states, the Congress will be fighting alone. So it will be very difficult for the parties to, project it as an united fight against the BJP.
And next we talk about this year's Republic Day chief guest. Now the choice of the chief guest is highly symbolic from the Indian government's perspective and strategically chosen based on the ties between the two countries.
Over the years, India has been weaving a strategy with hospitality to decide the chief guest for the Republic Day.
That's Indian Express's diplomatic affairs editor, Shubhajit Roy.
Now, the chief guest every year is dictated by a number of reasons. They would be strategic and diplomatic, business interest, and international geopolitics. So, before a formal invitation is sent out, availability of a particular foreign leader is ascertained through the Indian Embassy or Indian High Commission. And after availability is confirmed, only after that, a formal official invitation is sent out. So this process usually takes about a couple of months, and usually it's decided by November, maximum December, early December, because, one has to plan for the travel, for the protocol, and all the sort of elements of a state visit that comes with a Republic Day chief guest visit.
This year, on India's 75th Republic Day, the honor has been bestowed upon French President Emmanuel Macron, who's in fact the sixth leader from France to be the chief guest at the Republic Day celebrations. But turns out Macron was not actually India's first choice this year. The original plan was for India to invite the Quad partners, leaders from the US, Japan, and Australia. But after President Joe Biden could not make it, the plan was eventually dropped. And it was only in late December that an invitation was extended to France. When we spoke to Shubhajit, he told us why India chose France in this case. Shubhajit, tell us, what does it say about the ties between the two countries when you are invited as a second choice, and that to last minute, and you still accept, and when the other country depends on you in that way?
Well, ultimately it is a test of, how good the relationship is between the two countries, and then comes how good the relationship is between the two leaders of the two countries. So it so happened that both at the country to country level, state to state level, government to government level, the relationship is good, as well as the personal rapport equation, chemistry between Prime Minister Modi and the French President Emmanuel Macron is also quite good. So the French President agreed, and that just shows the level of comfort between the two systems, the two governments and the two leaders, that despite being a second choice, he decided to accept the invitation and come as the Republic Day chief guest, because it is big honor, and most importantly, this is not the first time a French president has been called for the Republic Day as its chief guest. He is in fact the sixth leader and the fifth French president to come to India as the Republic Day chief guest. And the first time India had invited for Republic Day a French leader was back in 1976, when Jacques Chirac, as the Prime Minister, had visited in 1976.
Right, and what's remarkable is that this was actually in the middle of the emergency.
That's correct. So, emergency, as you remember, was declared in June 1975. And in January 1976, which was about 6 months after, while the emergency rule was on. And, at that point of time, the context, if you remember, the Western democracies were quite unhappy about the then Indian government under Prime Minister Indira Gandhi imposing this draconian emergency provisions and was ruling the country through emergency provisions. So the Western democracies were quite appalled, and some of them had criticized as well. But at that time, France, which was one of the major Western democracies, one of the P5 countries, permanent members of the UN Security Council, it decided to accept the invitation and come as the Republic Day chief guest. Jacques Chirac was the Prime Minister back then. In fact, he was a India lover. In fact, he had studied Sanskrit back in the day as a student and had a special affinity towards India culturally. And later on, he really invested in the relationship, where politically he really brought the two countries closer.
Right, and in that sense, the ties between India and France go back a long way. And over the years, we have built a strong strategic partnership, not only in terms of defense, but also as far as space programs are concerned. So talk about the significance that France has for India.
Well, between India and France, the relationship has been truly strategic and truly time-tested and deep. It's not a 25-year, 10-year, 15-year relationship. It actually dates back to 60, 70-year-old. India's space program, which you mentioned, was actually is one of the oldest space cooperation between India and France. Between back then, Vikram Sarabhai and the French space scientists, they had a very close relationship. And, over a period of time, that particular relationship has taken a much more strategic character. So the defense cooperation, from time to time, India has been buying equipment from France, the latest one being the Rafale jets. In the nuclear field as well, India and France have had a very close cooperation. In fact, after the nuclear suppliers group gave exemption, France was the first on the bloc to sign an agreement, and the Jaitapur nuclear power plant, where the progress has been slow, but that sort of was signed back in 2008 itself. So the two countries have relationship in all the major key strategic areas: space, defense, nuclear, but also economic as well. So France is one of the major investors in India. The trade relationship is sort of pretty strong. There are over 750 French companies who have invested in India. They've employed over 4.5 lakh people. So the quality of relationship it starts from all the strategic areas, defense, nuclear, space, but now has expanded to newer areas like Indo-Pacific, digital cooperation, and other areas as well.
And you mentioned France being an important defense partner for India. Could you talk about the extent to which India relies on France for its supplies?
Well, after Russia, there are few important defense partners for India. France is one of the topmost of them. The French Rafale jets is a prime example of how it has substantially strengthened India's air power. And India is also thinking of procuring more Rafale jets for its navy. There are also submarine deals that are being talked about. So there are different high-tech technology equipment, and where the French also collaborate or cooperate with India when it comes to India's indigenous manufacturing, which is under the Make in India campaign. Also, there is a lot of French willingness to share technology, because France really sort of sees India as a very trusted partner, because it trusts India that it won't harm French interests or interests of French partners as well. And India's adversaries are not unknown to its partners. So that's where the cooperation in Indo-Pacific from France is very important.
Right, and besides this, both countries rely on each other for tourism as well. But the other important way that France has supported India is when it comes to dealing with terrorism. Could you talk about that a bit?
After Pulwama terror attacks, I remember how France steadfastly supported India and nationally listed the Pakistan-based global terrorist Hafiz Saeed, and which was followed up with the listing at the UN. France has also supported India's request to block attempts by Pakistan to enlist innocent Indian citizens under the UNSC 1267 Sanctions Committee based on fabricated charges. So if you see the really broad sweep in terms of security, defense, India, France have collaborated and cooperated in a very deep way, especially in the last 25 years. 25 years is very important, last 25 years, because Jacques Chirac, when he came to India in 1998 in January as the Republic Day chief guest, he laid the foundation of the strategic partnership. And this year, India is completing the 25th anniversary celebrations of the Indo-French strategic partnership. So that's how Macron's participation as the chief guest is very, very important. And the other thing is that this reciprocal visit, where Prime Minister Modi was the chief guest at the National Day of France, which is Bastille Day, on 14th of July 2023, just about 6 months back. And 6 months later, the French president has come here for India's Republic Day. So you can see how the two countries, the two governments are in sync with each other, where leaders are attending each other's National Day or Republic Day celebrations in just back to back. So that also tells you how the two systems, two governments, two countries look at each other.
And in the end, we talk about the president of the UN General Assembly, Denis Francis, who, during a media interaction in India yesterday, said that the situation in the Red Sea is extremely disturbing and it has the potential to escalate further.
So a third world war is not beyond the realm of possibility. And because of the weapons that now exist, the power of the weapons that now exist, the outcome is not going to be is not going to resemble what we saw in the last two world wars. It is going to be very much worse.
Denis Francis, who is on a 5-day visit to India, also strongly pitched for reform of the UN Security Council, saying its present composition does not reflect contemporary geopolitical realities. Francis also complimented India's call for a two-state solution to the conflict in Gaza describing New Delhi's position as highly responsible, pragmatic, sensible, and necessary. The top UN diplomat held comprehensive talks with External Affairs Minister S. Shashank, covering a wide range of issues, including the situation in Gaza, the conflict in Ukraine, India's engagement with the UN, and UN Security Council reform. Asked about India's aspirations to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council, Francis said that the country is a highly respected member of the UN.
India is a mature, highly respected member of the United Nations. It is a leader in many ways. And I'm sure that that fact is not lost on the members of the General Assembly.
India has been pressing for reform of the United Nations, especially the UN Security Council, and has been particularly upset over lack of any meaningful movement forward in the intergovernmental negotiations on Security Council reform. At present, the UNSC comprises 5 permanent members and 10 non-permanent member countries, which are elected for a 2-year term by the General Assembly of the UN. The 5 permanent members are Russia, the UK, China, France, and the United States, and these countries can veto any substantive resolution. You were listening to 3 Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and was produced by Niharika Nanda and me, Shashank Bhargava. If you liked the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcast@indianexpress.com.